back to the Tailosive EV podcast. Let's start it out with a song for our good boy Elon. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Too long.
No, too
What's
long.
the short? This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Hey.
Sounds good.
Hold
Happy
on.
birthday, Elon.
Sums it up. 69 days after 420. This
Very
man
good.
has made it around the sun, this time using the earth. But he might use something else
Bravo,
next year.
Drew.
We'll see.
Bravo. That's a good one.
Thank you. So we have some big stuff to talk about this week.
Yes. Yeah. FSD.
If
got
some
got the
people
ability.
feel like, what did FSD get?
Some guy showed a video of it going through a stoplight without him having to confirm it or the green light.
Early access program got that, but
Yeah, those stupid people.
to those who were thinking previously that Randy was dominating the conversation, I want to address those people particularly. You are going, if you thought that was bad, can't wait till you see this episode, because Randy
just gonna go take a
beat
nap.
us both. Beat us both to the first member of the podcast who has now seen the Cybertruck in person. The big question.
I am a god!
Did you touch it?
Yes, but barely.
Wait, you did? Are you
did?
serious?
Yeah, I did.
Your
And then I got
thumb
yelled at.
is on that vehicle
I got yelled
right
at.
now?
You got yelled at.
I got yelled at. Oh man, there's so we're
Okay,
not gonna. I
story.
don't want to. I don't want to start there.
Let's start with
No.
something a little
All
less
right.
interesting.
Let's talk. Let's.
No. I want
No,
to tease
I
you
don't
guys
wanna
a
do
little
this
bit
quickly.
longer because full disclosure, I have yet to say anything to anybody about anything. At the time of recording this, the only thing I have is a behind the scenes video out about me prepping this trip and then actually going there.
Spill it
Totally
out.
go watch.
Spill it out. Let's
Spill
get
it
the
out.
details.
Give me all the beats.
And by the time this episode goes out, though, on Monday, I will have a first impressions video out on the Talos.
Yes.
The Tesla
We know.
experience. So,
I have hijacked your brain. Go ahead.
where to start? I don't know. Where to start? Where to start?
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
Nick texted
Size.
you a couple weeks ago. Hey guys, the Cybertruck's going to be in LA. Who wants to go? And
That's a terrible start. I don't know. Let's get to the
Oh.
good stuff.
okay, fine.
So I woke up and I had a coffee and a bagel for breakfast. Okay, we'll fast forward a little bit.
Did you
It's
use
right
the
there.
bathroom, though?
When you get to the venue, it's right there. They won't let you in. It's technically not a part of the actual museum part itself. When you get the sticker,
okay.
you get a sticker,
Yeah.
and that shows you for like your time slot for that day. They're different stickers. So outside of once you go outside of your time slot, they'll move you out to make way for the next group of people to come in. And you go through 3 levels of vehicles at the museum. But the Tesla Cybertruck is not actually part of the exhibit like that. It is.
So it's in the foyer.
It's right there when you walk in, but you
nice
cannot
French
go
word.
inside. You can't go inside at all unless you first show them confirmation of your ticket first. You get because there's a counter outside. You show them the ticket, then they
Yeah.
pass you through, and you have to go get your sticker. And then from the sticker, you can enter the exhibit whenever you want.
Wow.
But I can tell you right now, 85% of these guys were just hovering around the Cybertruck because it's right when you walk in.
So it felt like most people there were for the truck, not for the rest of the museum.
Some people could not care any less about the Cybertruck. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that would be the guaranteed head turner.
People look at it like, oh, look at it. I mean, I heard people mocking it. I've heard people who are trying to do YouTube videos on it, give terrible analysis on it. I heard it all, and I was just like, wow, you guys have no taste. So let's start with
Size.
it's completely different in person. It's
Okay.
huge.
Really?
Okay.
It is.
Completely different, you'd say.
Yes.
So it doesn't in person. Let's say it this way: it doesn't on camera or in pictures come across as it does in person.
No, it's way bigger.
Okay.
It is huge.
Very thankful because I thought it looked a little small.
It's too big. I
Well,
understand.
It's Randy here.
Yeah, that's true. We
So
should have
to
sent
Nick,
Drew, the happy medium
It's
person.
probably smaller. Go ahead.
I'll leave right
Randy's
now,
not
gents.
taking any of
I
this
have,
today.
I have
No.
my memories. I don't have to share crap.
Yes, it's okay. We're sorry.
That's right. Kiss my ring. I'm only going to suck it up a little bit more. Kiss it. All right. So,
We are unworthy.
I genuinely believe that it is too big for production model. I think
No.
it does need to go down in
Don't say
size.
that. Don't say
It's
that.
wide. It's so wide. It's so wide.
It's as wide as any
Yeah.
other pickup truck, Randy. Any
No.
other pickup truck.
Not
Yes, it is.
any.
No.
Ford F-350, yes, it is just as wide
That's
as
not
any
any
other pickup.
pickup.
It's 80-something inches.
That's
Just
not
as wide as
any, Nick. It's
any other
huge.
pickup truck I would consider
Don't
buying.
it? Let him finish. Let
Yeah.
him finish.
Well, then, Nick, you go to the museum. It's there a little bit longer. Then you could come back. I'll wait. Come on, Nick. Or come on, Drew. Let's go talk about the
So is
Cybertruck,
it-
and we'll cut
Was it
Nick out.
primarily width that, or was it length too that was overwhelming to you?
It's an optical illusion because it's one block. So it feels longer than what it is, but I think the length of it is appropriate. But the width is almost too much. Like, I can't see that comfortably fitting legally, street legal, between lines the way it does, and it not, just kind of move people out of the way. It is meant to be a bully. It is meant to be a jerk. Absolutely, it is.
Okay.
It's huge, and with in regards to the length, I would say the bed was closed the whole time, so we didn't get to actually see the bed.
Right.
But if the proportions were accurate, the bed is huge. Everything's huge. So if they were going to downsize it, I think they would keep the cabin space the same and take away slightly from the bed.
Not from the width.
The width is included. I mean, yes, width and length. If they were going to try to make it a little bit small, it won't fit in a garage. Not my single car garage. It won't.
So did you change your opinion on, because you're getting one eventually? Do you feel like after seeing one now, is it not really going to work where you are?
When you get here, when you come to San Diego, I'm gonna. It's something I can really only answer it by showing you, because I've seen my carport, I've seen my garage, every single day, and so I understand the proportions.
Yeah, it's not going to fit in your garage. It'll fit. In your
It absolutely will not fit in the garage. Even if we gutted the whole thing, the frame is too narrow.
Yeah, you have
You could have the hole
for
cut out in the
context. Randy
shape
has
of
a
the Cybertruck.
one-car garage that's a little bit longer than a normal garage. So
It's a longer garage, but it's a one car garage. But the frame, it won't pass the frame, and my carport, it would probably fit in the carport. But
it would take up the entire carport, though.
It would take up the whole carport. So it might work, but
So just get a bigger house, Randy. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Just you were gonna get the truck. Just get like a bigger house. It's simple.
I feel like it would be appropriate to put this. Because I don't want to put it on my cul-de-sac or on the street or whatever. It does. I want visibility on the truck, and if that's the case, my Model 3 would have to go in the garage, and the Cybertruck would have to fit in the carport, and then I think it would work. But it's a modern day truck in the sense that when you think about like the old Ford Wrangler or an older F-150 or something just smaller, this is a definitely a 2020 and above type of new design. The same way when you look at new homes and they're just naturally bigger, taller, wider, vaulted ceilings, the whole thing, and that's just kind of like the new standard. That's what this is, and I understand it's a prototype type, so things are subject to change, but you're not getting the F-150 equivalent. You are getting the F-350 equivalent, which means there are certain compromises that you have to make about accommodating the placement of the vehicle. It is huge. The thing looks like it can break through Fort Knox, and
a movie set.
Fundamentally, this is what I was really excited to talk to you about. Like, design in person, does it come across to you on a personal level of like a design of beauty, a design of clunkiness, a design of functionality? Like, what is the one word description, and if so, did that word change after seeing it in person, or do you feel like now that you saw it in the flesh, it's just like, yeah, that's what I thought? Or is it like now seeing it in person, it's more brutish, it's more aggressive, or it's more clunky, or it's more ugly? Or how do you feel after witnessing it?
There is a clunkiness factor to it in the sense that you can see the imperfections of the stainless steel. Some things just looked... my wife said it kind of looked like the stainless steel part is cardboard covering parts of the car. In the sense that it's just there. So it's definitely loosely fit. And I can only judge it based off of the prototype. I would hope the final design, they have a little bit more fine-tuned. Otherwise, it's definitely clunky. And in that sense, when you get close up to it, it's ugly. When you take a step back, you're like, it's a movie prop. It is a movie prop. It's your Blade. It is Blade Runner. It is something that it could fit in Star Wars, Blade Runner, it could fit in Tron, it could fit in all those futuristic movies and have a placement right there. But then you don't take it seriously.
The first thing I said when they unveiled it, when it drove out on stage, my first words were, "It looks straight out of the '70s."
It's a prop, and it also. Another thing, my wife's words, it's very masculine in person.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
That is almost the concrete definition of masculine.
It is. It's just
you can't get much further away from the other side.
Feminine. She goes.
Feminine.
She goes. I don't know if I could like. Is it too masculine for me? Because this is it's intimidating. Sharp corners. It's a block of steel, and because our brains aren't used to seeing that in our lifetime, we haven't programmed it. It is the equivalent of you taking a cup or a coffee cup or something, sipping it, expecting it to be coffee, and you get tea, and you go, whoa, for a second. You weren't expecting it. And even though you can anticipate knowing that we know what it looks like, in person, you're just like, what? And everybody unanimously, like it or love it or hate it, you're captivated by it. You're surrounded by it because you're like, how is this a commercial vehicle that's supposed to be really a thing when it looks like a movie prop or something that a SWAT team would use, or those trucks that carry money and they have like it's armored and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do have a vault, so.
It doesn't. I can't take it seriously. Like, this isn't really real until you. And that's the disconnect that you're having, because you're like, everyone's captivated because it is real and this is a thing, and it looks like it belongs on Mars. The wheels, the everything. Right. It's not meant for 2020, 2019, 2020. It's meant for 2320 in Mars, and it looks like it's you take away. You take away everything that you expect the sexy car lineup to be, and this has no sex appeal. It is meant to mess things up.
Excuse me?
It's not sexy.
It has plenty of sex appeal, Randy.
The sex appeal comes from its utility function. The sex appeal comes from the fact that it's like, this doesn't care how it looks.
The sex appeal comes from it rolling off of a movie set. That's where it comes from me.
It looks like it goes through one assembly line and everything. Just I even got angles of trying to see, like, it's all straight lines. Like you take a ruler and it's just like, this could be made like that if you had the right thing. Like next, and
so you feel like you can already tell it's easy to manufacture just by looking at it.
Yeah, but. The welding of it, those loose edges, and you can see things kind of like coming off of the body of it. It needs to, the production needs to be more fine tuned. You think quality control and quality assurance is an issue with the Model 3 and all that? Like I can predict this having severe quality control issues.
Well, they won't have paint problems. So
okay, well, so there's paint,
that.
but it's still there's still going to be gaps, and the gaps are very noticeable.
Okay.
And I did punch
gaps,
in.
You think will still be a thing?
If it could be, it shouldn't be, but it could. It throws your mind off that when you look at the tires up close, even though the tires are the only circular thing that you can really see visibly, that even then the tires are a bit blocky on the design of it because it's meant for all terrain. It's like this thing does not like curves. The only thing that was a curvature was the cameras that you see, and even then, some of the sensors in the housing were rectangles, and so it was unique. The only camera I actually saw was at the license plate and the circular. That was the only circle I saw.
Were you able to see much of the inside? I know it was kind of hard.
I tried.
Pretty dark.
Some guy walked up to it. He put his phone on the back seat and turned on the flash and took a picture. He actually just rested his phone on the thing, then picked it up, went to the front seat, did the same thing.
Oh man!
And security,
And touched it.
Oh yeah, he's like your guys' size. He was able to just whatever. And
okay. Thank you.
Well,
but he got snatched up so quick.
Oh,
really?
Did he get kicked out?
I would have talked to him. I would have been like, "So, have you heard of AirDrop?"
No, he wasn't using iPhone.
So, I want to see those pictures online somewhere. Let's see. Where did this guy? How did those pictures come? I bet
he got taken away to Never Land.
So
down
when the flash
when
the flash turned on and then it took up the photo and then it came back, like to me, in my opinion, it looked like it was completely washed out. But he looked at it and he goes, like he didn't seem to be upset about it.
It was worth getting arrested.
So there was a lot of security, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. And they were like, "Hey, move along. You can't stand here.
Tesla
You're holding up the line.
Chill about
Move."
the Cybertruck security because I almost see it as them being like, "What are you going to do to it?" You know.
It's not that.
Try to key it.
You're causing congestion.
Did you bring a bowling ball? Or
there's a line. There's a legitimate
the number
line.
Of people. Right.
What the security's there for is to break the congestion because it's right outside the gift shop and people aren't going into the gift shop. In fact,
that was smart.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
put it by the gift shop. But yeah, you said you also got a chance to touch it. Where did you touch it? How did you touch it? And how quickly did they kick your butt out of there?
I went to the front and I wanted to touch it where it looked the best.
Oh, I thought you were going to open the frunk. Ooh.
Man, I wish. No. My tiny little hands where I tried to make it look like I was taking a photo. And I lean back and I go, and I like this. So I go, oh, yeah, there. So I'm trying to catch it on camera and you guys. So I lean. This is exactly what I had a fake camera like this. I lean back and I go, and.
Were you rolling?
I haven't looked at the footage. At the time of us recording this, I just got home.
I know. I'm just saying in the moment, I would have made sure you were rolling because there's a chance you will not see another Cybertruck until 2022 at this point. So that was your shot.
That was my shot. But I touched it.
That was all of our shots.
Yeah.
That was man, it looks like a mini spacecraft or airplane or something when you stand in front of it.
Say that. Oh!
Yeah, when you stand in front of it, it looks spaceship. Yeah, you stand in front of it and you're like, this looks like it's going in the air. This doesn't look like it belongs on the ground.
Right. And is there some kind of weird sensation, weird feeling that everybody's looking at this thing, like God himself planted it on Earth, like, oh my God, this truck is so crazy, it's so weird. And
it is Elon, so
there's over 500,000 orders that we're supposed to start seeing these trucks brought to city streets for reasonable pricing. I mean, it's one thing to look at like a Lambo in a car museum and be like, wow, look at the next generation Lambo, or look at the next Tesla Roadster. This is going to be $200,000 or whatnot, or this new supercar is going to be $500,000. But everyone's lining up around the block and selling out this place's tickets so that they can look at a $50,000 pickup. Can you recall another pickup that was like that in our lifetime, even before our lifetime. I feel like this is unheard of in regards to
maybe in history, just because I walked the museum and I did look at it. Maybe when the first, Model T or anything in that equivalent was coming out to replace horse buggies and stuff like that.
Well, I bet it was less meaningful than this.
Yeah, it was a lot less trendy. And like right now, we're all in groups. And
Well, there was a lot of controversy behind it too, because people were like, "Horses
sure.
out of the way."
My, this horseless
But there
carriage
wasn't the
scared
internet.
my horse. I ended
You could like
overturning my
open the
carriage.
newspaper.
Yeah.
You could open the newspaper. Oh, look, this is like
read all about it.
read all about it. Wagon that moves itself without a horse. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But this is like people like you driving, hours and hours to see it, and us like talking about it, and people watching us talk about it because of how interesting it is. Like, and it's just, you get what I'm saying about it not being in the same department as a supercar that some people would line up to see.
Yeah.
And yet this is something that there's supposed to be hundreds of thousands of.
I think this
within the
is more
next couple of
exciting
years.
is because it has the styling and the kind of gravitas as a supercar, but in all of our minds, it's much more attainable. Like, yeah, when you see a Lambo or a Bugatti Chiron, you're like, wow, or a Phantom. It's like, wow, this is a really cool piece of engineering, and it looks really cool and stylish, and I really want one, but I can't afford it because I don't have, $8 million laying around. But the Cybertruck,
if I win the lottery,
exactly. If I win
But
the lottery, I ain't going on any other Cybertruck all the way.
But the thing is, I would say that
lottery, so.
the attraction to it is that at one point in the exhibit they were showing like futuristic car concepts on the first floor, and you can see all these like what ifs and stuff like that.
Imitations of the Cybertruck.
No, these things were. I can't even. I don't know how to put it into words. This is just. It's amazing. Like if those concepts were brought to real life, then in execution it would put the Cybertruck to shame. But they are concepts.
Yeah.
And then you walk outside and the truck is right when you leave the exhibit. The truck's right there, and I remember looking at my friend and my wife, and I go, "We just looked at very, very solid, cool concepts, and we looked at things that are very appealing, things that I want to sit inside and just experience. And this looks like it belongs in there, and this is real. And I think if it actually looks like a cyber truck, it doesn't look like a gasoline truck that's all boxy. It legit looks like a robot. And I think the fact that it looks futuristic and it's affordable and it's not a concept, that was the only thing that met all those check marks at the exhibit. Everything else, it was either 2 out of the 3 or 1 out of 3. But no other vehicle except for Cybertruck met all 3 check marks on that.
Right.
It is not a concept. It's futuristic, and it's actually like it's affordable. It's not a Bugatti. It's not a Lambo. I saw props of the Dark Knight film, and they had the cool motorcycle.
Oh, nice, the Batpod.
Yes, everything about that stuff was so cool. But it's like concept, and even if this was real, expensive.
Right.
All these other things, and we saw the VW cyber or electric hippie bus looking thing for VW, and like that's real. It's technically still concept because they haven't done a full announcement, but it's also going to be extremely expensive. And then I think about this Cybertruck and how affordable it is, how a Model S can be priced up way more past that. It's just
you guys were looking at it as something that like you're going to have this next year.
Yeah.
If things go according to plan.
Yeah.
Which is just a weird way to look at a concept.
It's like extremely intimidating.
18 months from now, that's going to be, we're taking delivery of that.
It was almost surreal to me, or maybe like I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because it's. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it as like how is this going to be in my possession? Like I look at it and I go, this is fake. I'll believe it when we get the email from Tesla saying, hey, your reservation is ready. Da 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 da. Yeah. Apply the proper deposit. When do you want to schedule your pickup? Then maybe I'll believe it. But then I'm looking at like, you're so left field. And that's the thing. You look at a Bugatti, you look at any of those other things and you go, yeah, that's what you expect a sports car to look like. I was looking at the original 2008 Roadster. Yeah, okay. That's what a sports car is supposed to look like. I look at this truck and I go, that is not what a truck looks like, but that's what my truck's going to look like. That's...
Yeah.
It's I have a weird disconnect, even though I know it's real. I'm still very much disconnected because it's like I don't know.
You're still in shock.
I'm being trolled.
Yeah, you can't put your brain around the idea that there's going to be hundreds of thousands of these things within the next few years.
Worst case scenario, I just got gypped $100 on a reservation, and then there's that. Like, okay, but best case scenario, like that's coming, and that is you want to live in it. You don't. It puts my Model 3 to shame. It puts everything to shame.
Ooh.
It does.
You go that far.
Wow.
I would go that far. Yeah.
So here's a question for you. When it came to the stainless steel, did you find it too reflective, too shiny, too scratch prone, or is it looks like something you would want to wrap?
It's exactly what it looks like online.
Okay.
There is some reflectiveness to it when you're
In
polishing
the pictures I was seeing, it looked almost like a mirror from certain angles.
certain angles, and certain lighting. You know, I want to see this truck in the sun. I don't want to see it under studio lights or museum lights. I don't. That's my. I don't feel like I'm getting the true visual representation of it in almost kind of dimmed or controlled lighting, but it is reflective. But it looks exactly like what we see online in that sense. I don't think it should be wrapped. I think if there's a matte black version that comes out, I think that's going to sell better than the stainless steel.
If it costs more, even?
I mean, that's contingent on the pricing. If it's $1,000, like if it's $1,000 of 15, like you do, or let's say even 2,000, like you up your colors for the models. I think so in the sense that it can be. Here's where they got it right. If you're in the sun driving and it's going to be that reflective and it starts to affect other drivers on the road, it's a problem. It does not have that problem. It's still reflective. You can very much get up to it and go and get something out of your teeth, but it's not like you need a mirror to pop that pimple or something. You know, it's more like, oh, I could see it. But when you stand back, the thing is, the further back you stand, one, it blends into its environment of like pillars and just industrial. It's a very industrial looking vehicle, but you stand far enough back from it, it looks perfect. You walk up to it, okay, I can see a reflection. You kind of expect to it. Some glossy vehicles have that, you know. You get really close up to it, imperfections start to show. But it's a prototype, and this is the same prototype that's been driven around everywhere since November, and even before November. There's only the one.
Wait, you've touched Elon's car?
You touched a car Jay Leno drove. You touched a car Franz probably touched, and Elon touched, and Marquez got to ride in, and all those YouTubers.
I touched the truck that towed an F-150 or an F-350 or whatever.
Yep, the same one.
I touched the car. I touched the truck that had the broken glass.
And licked the semi that Elon drove on stage. I'm important too,
You should
guys.
start selling handshakes for the fact that you touched the truck.
Handshakes, Drew. This is quarantine
Shake the
time.
hand.
Excuse me. Handshake.
Cybertruck instantly kills coronavirus anytime.
It's cold.
I think so.
The truck was cold. Here's the thing.
Oh, yeah?
That's what it says on the spec sheet. Kills coronavirus instantly.
You're fake news, Nick. Okay.
You just have to apply it on the inside of your lungs. That's all.
I'm prone to static electricity, and so when I used to touch my car, I'd get shocked a lot. This is going to be a problem with that for me, because when I wrap my car, I don't get that anymore, right? But
okay.
When I touch,
now, is that because you're too negative or too positive, Randy?
It depends on what day of the week you catch me.
Positive.
Okay.
He'll charge the car when he's static. touches.
Oh,
There
I
you
can see
go.
static electricity. And because the whole thing's
range
metal.
went up. 90, 91, 91%.
I want to talk about the bed.
Okay.
Actually, specifically, I want to talk about the casing of the bed, since I didn't get to look inside the bed. that thing looks very sturdy, extremely well built.
The Tonto cover or the bed or the tailgate?
No, the cover.
What are you talking
the
about?
cover of
The
it.
Tonto cover. Okay.
The vault cover.
It looks like certain trucks, as you may know, and if not, they have that. This is not a new thing. This is on trucks now,
No.
and you can roll it out and click. But it always felt a little flimsy.
Right.
A little bit, just a little bit, enough to where you can hit it and it causes a ripple. This,
Boom, boom. Yeah.
this looks like it could fit like on a roof and be very sturdy about not collapse. It looks like you could take it, smack somebody with it, and you're going to cause that person a concussion.
Wow.
I think that's most bed roofs, but yeah.
This looks
I'm
it
glad it looks sturdy.
It looks like if you wanted to take a gun to it, you shouldn't do it, but it just looks like if you did, it would not break through, and it would be just as bulletproof as the rest of the truck is proclaiming to be. It looks like it is meant to have boulders fall on it near like cliffs and stuff, and it looks like it would even. Somebody made a mention about like, and I've been sitting on this. Somebody made a mention at the museum. They go, yeah, but they're talking amongst themselves. One of the critics, and they go, yeah, but it's stainless steel. This is what it looks like today. Imagine what it's going to look like 10 years from now, under all that water, under all that stuff, and all the rusting and all this and all that. And I was thinking like, I think it becomes like leather in the sense that it becomes unique and it has its own identifier at that point where it ages with you in the sense that it is now that's what it is. And that's where it's not a sexy car. That it is not meant to be this perfect polished thing. It's meant to have its battle scars and wounds and it tells its story and it has all these dents and all these things that just kind of happen to it. And you go, I'm not looking at that, Nick, it's distracting me. And it looks like it's meant to take a beating and still keep trucking along and almost welcoming the imperfections. I'm not talking about things not looking like, like, okay, well, look, it's kind of detached a little bit. I'm talking like the actual aesthetic of it. Right now it's smooth and stuff like that, but it almost looks like it's meant to take those types of beatings because it's a manly man vehicle. And I know that sounds a bit, I know it sounds sexist, but it's in the sense of masculinity that it's meant to not get dolled up and be pretty. My Model 3 is a very, in comparison, it's a very feminine car. I want it to look pretty. It's always dolled up. It gets people looking. Nobody checks out the dudes the way they like to check out women who look very, very dressed up and very beautiful. Men are just like, you don't see really much men wearing makeup. And that's the equivalent of the Cybertruck is meant to just be like, hey, we got to move something. You're cutting down some branches. You got to every sense of an industry that needs this type of utility vehicle for electricity, your water, anything. It fits all of that, and it can also fit being a pretty truck if you wanted it to be. But this is the universal truck that looks like it belongs in every environment, commercial and private use.
So, Randy, I noticed in some of the pictures it kind of looked like they polished the stainless steel with some kind of wax or something because there were like swirl marks in some of the videos that I saw. Did you detect any of that? And if so, how matte does it look in person, I guess is the question. Because online it looks pretty like brushed stainless steel, but on the videos it looks more like iPhone stainless steel.
iPhone stainless steel.
It is definite. Oh, this is a great comparison because I've got the white. It's definitely more foggier than your stainless steel on your iPhone. 100%. I'm looking at it right now.
Foggy as in microabrasions, or foggy as in like a layer of wax or something on top?
Closer to matte.
It is so. This one is very reflective, even though it's distorting my face. It's very reflective. It looks like steel.
Okay.
This one not, I wouldn't say micro abrasions. This one looks like it's intentional, but it is very much reflective. Everything about it, I can see things, but the reflection is muted. Is the best way I can describe it. This is a crazy.
Do you think it would look better if there was like a surface where you could do a brushed stainless option as like a third party thing? Because you've seen like brushed stainless steel, right? Would that look better in brushed stainless steel or the way they have it right there?
Ooh, I'll be honest with you. I never even thought about that.
Because
I need to see. I need to see brushed stainless steel for a second. Hang on. You could keep talking. I need to pull it up.
My worry is like when I get this truck, I was talking to your wife, and yes, I'm going to get the truck at some point. Might not be soon, but when I get it, I'm intending on keeping it for 5, 15, 20 years. 5, not 5. Anyway,
it's a big jump.
Anyway, sorry, I'm a little excited. A long time. A large
15,
amount of
20,
time.
10,000 years.
10,000, exact same thing. 3 days, 10,000 years. Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I'm intending on keeping it for a long time, and I'm worried that it's going to be all shiny and pretty at the beginning, and I'm going to sadly watch the progression from shiny and pretty to dinged up and has a story behind it. Now, I don't mind the dinged up look. I just am going to be sad about the 6-month year transition between nice and pretty to dinged up and lived in. If it starts more lived in with like a brushed stainless look and less of like a pretty, polished stainless look, I think there wouldn't be that transition, and then it would obviously be the perfect car.
There is. It's definitely.
They'll scratch it up for you before.
Exactly. Please just scratch it up, and Franz just huck a ball at the. Yeah.
Franz will be at the end of the assembly line, just chucking.
I don't think it's very noticeable here,
but
here's
the other way, Randy, and make it bigger.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna. So you could kind of see the circles that was kind of used to clean it. Yeah, you can definitely see that. It is definitely not brushed stainless steel. It does not look intentional. It does not look like it's to have that.
Like waxed it for the show?
The thing is, there's different parts. Here, I'm going to show you another one right now. Same video clip of it, but I was at the lower end. On the front, it looks more muted than on the sides. The sides are definitely more reflective, where the front looks more muted. It just looks foggier. I can't tell you if it's intentional or not, because I'm also coming at the lens like this is the freaking prototype. And it's purposely being run around. Yeah. But I will say, to answer, because you asked me if should there be a brushed stainless steel. I think, based off of what I googled it really quickly just so I can have a mental image. I think it looks better without it.
Okay.
Long term, because with it just looks dirty. It looks like there's fingerprints all over it. It doesn't look like there's fingerprints on it right now. And granted,
there's at least one.
No, there's more than one. There's you can't be touching the truck right now. I think it is going to be fingerprint prone. But I think the fogginess of the stainless steel.
That's the biggest part of Marquez's review. It can be like, it's a great specs, Elon.
Very glossy. Slides off a desk.
Your stainless steel on your iPhone is extremely and you notice it like that. It doesn't look like it'll be like that, but it looks like you're gonna notice some worn in grease after a while. If you put a brushed stainless steel on this truck, it would just look dirty all the time. Up close, it might look like, okay, there, now it's not reflective. If you had to choose, I think they would rather stick with this design or do a different coat, like a matte black, than giving you a brushed stainless steel. I think brushed stainless steel would cost more money. I think it would actually age worse over time, because now that you got the lines that show, when those things get dinked, it's going to throw off the aesthetics even more, because now it just looks lazy, tacked, rushed. It just doesn't look the same. I don't know if this is how it's supposed. I'm just judging like this. Sure, it's supposed to look exactly how it looks, where it's kind of muted, not really muted. It's reflective, definitely reflective, but it's not a mere reflection. It's not as reflective as the border of your iPhone if you have stainless steel. That much I can confirm. But it is reflective, but it looks exactly like how it looks right here. So all the photos you see online, that intensity of reflection is spot on. It's just the part that throws you off is how much truck there is, therefore it looks like it's more reflective than what it really is. When we see it on a device this big, it looks a little reflective. But when you're right there and the thing looks like it's 20 feet in every direction, you're like, that's a lot of reflection. But at the end of the day, it is still a bit muted in that sense. It's not meant to be polished up, completely shiny, reflecting like your Apple Watch or your iPhone.
So, interesting. I appreciate that. With the back of the vehicle, and I think you're going to bring up the cameras in a minute, and we can talk about that. But the license plate is beneath glass, I guess is the best way to describe it, right? Like it's not a plate, and I love that so much. Do you think that there's any way that we could have that instead of a stupid license plate that you get from the Department of Motor Vehicles?
Most likely not. For it's just
legal reasons. Yeah, they have to.
No,
I mean,
how would you change it when you get the
Yeah.
stickers and stuff like? Because right now it just has 2019, so it.
Well, I
it
already
shows
have
it.
the plates that I'm going to put on there, and it's a custom plate that says something that I won't say on air because I don't want people to look me up. But it will go perfectly with the Cybertruck. And if there was a way while I was ordering the Cybertruck to say, hey, this is going to be my license plate number, and they could just like on an Apple product, they can custom engrave it. Like if they could just custom engrave that for me. And
that might hurt your resale value.
I don't need no resale value. I'm not selling it. That's the thing. I'm driving that thing till it doesn't drive anymore.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but I would say this is where it becomes more vehicle and less tech, and it has to abide by it. I get you, Nick. I get you, and I'm there with you. But this is where they have to meet in the middle.
No, I refuse.
I know.
I'm glad they did this, though. It's really cool that they let people go out and take a look at it and get some publicity. And it says a lot about the demand overall of the truck, because if people are willing to drive great distances and buy tickets to a museum just so that they can see the truck in person, it says a lot.
I did what you guys asked, and this is the phone on the ground. I went under the car, under the truck.
Ooh.
And
thank you.
There is
Cool.
a plating or some sort under there that I couldn't really see, and you can't see with the bare eye. I was trying to get under there, and there's some stuff that's going on under there, and it's just when you guys see the footage, like just come up with your own assessment of what it is. But that's where the battery's being stored and everything like that. It's interesting.
Probably.
It's very naked. It's so. This is where it looks like a prop because it looks like it's missing parts, even as a vehicle. And
Have you looked underneath your Model 3?
No, except for when I got in that car accident.
Other than that, we'd have to compare the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. I was seeing a lot of people post footage of it underneath and stuff like that, and letting people get up close and personal essentially is like very much appreciated. That like Tesla's the type.
Hang on. I'm raising it.
Tesla's the type of company
Sharp corners everywhere you go. Even the button placements to open up the bed and stuff like that. It just looks. It looks like a box. It looks like it goes to the moon.
It does. It just look like a big box.
Give me all of the trapezoids.
It's like other companies pay to advertise their truck, whereas Cybertruck, they give it to a museum and you charge to look at the truck. You have to pay for the privilege to look at our vehicle.
It's genius marketing.
I think that says a lot about the marketing.
Can you imagine if Apple
I'm
stores
really glad
looked
you
like
went.
that? You had to like stick a quarter in to go see the Apple store.
So, in hindsight, just wanted to say publicly, Randy, thank you very much for going and for getting footage and for hands-on impressions, because it wasn't really feasible for me and Nick to do it, but you were pretty dang close, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. You think this is for you guys? Oh, no.
I will say it was our idea.
It was our idea.
I wish you guys had bought the plane ticket. I don't know what to tell you.
What plane ticket?
Last week when we talked about it, we were like, oh, Randy, you could get footage. You could talk about it on the Tesla experience.
And Randy was like, I don't want it. It's a long drive.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be completely honest with you, and I'm going to say this publicly, and I wonder if she can hear me. My wife is like, we're going. I'm like, oh, okay, guys, we're going. That's why I texted you guys and said, I'm going, guys. She goes, how dare you come up to me all nonchalant? Oh, yeah, I think about just go ahead and get some footage or whatever. She goes, how dare you? Yeah.
I told you can't afford to not see this truck.
That is true.
You will lose money if you don't go on this trip.
Yes. YouTube is recommending.
So far, I'm in the whole money, Drew. So I hope at one point you're right.
Well, once you post this video,
yeah, I know.
You'll see.
Yes, and outside of, I mean, obviously, even outside of this episode, any questions you want to bring up, and even outside of being on air or whatever, like I'm gonna be thinking about this until probably delivery day, because there's things I can't even think about right now that I know I have an opinion on now. I'm working better on reaction to you guys asking me these questions, because I have an opinion about everything on the truck now that I don't know where to start, and it has changed my view in the sense that I want this truck. I just don't believe it's real, if that makes sense. Like, that's the disconnect. Yeah. I want to see the production model, because this thing is huge. This will not be the final version. Okay, fine. Show me the production. Let me. What am I buying?
How do you feel about Elon saying the production model is going to be pretty much the same size?
Well, I think
you say don't believe it.
I say it is going to be a little bit smaller. I do. I genuinely not that much at all. I think when you said 3%, that sounds about right. It needs to fit in a car. It needs to pass. It needs to pass the beam on top to fit into garages and stuff like that.
It will move the beam.
It's shorter than me. It's a triangle. It'll just kind of move it up a little bit, and then it'll get through. And then when you back out, it'll move it up a little bit, and then it'll come through.
It's push everything out of the way.
More so than length, width is the issue with the tires and everything. It just you can't afford to manually maneuver this spacecraft and kind of go like this and have the trucks kind of drift like that. You're going to hit something. You're going to hit somebody or some vehicle.
That's the challenge of driving a big vehicle, Randy. When you're driving a Humvee,
I have no experience in that.
You haven't driven a Humvee?
Probably the biggest.
Randy.
That's probably the biggest deterrent for me from the Cybertruck is the size, because I have driven large vehicles before, and I'm not. I didn't love it. I drove an F-350 quite a bit for my Mandarin Ranch job, and that one, size-wise, was pretty dang close to what I'm hearing
almost
people
exactly
describe
the same
the
size.
Cybertruck.
Was it a crew cab or a single cab?
Crew.
Then it was the exact same size as the Cybertruck, within like 2 or 3 inches.
That thing was not fun to drive. I mean, I can understand why some may like to drive a vehicle like that, but it honestly felt like literally driving a tank. And with the Cybertruck, I'm sure it even more so feels like driving a tank.
It looks like
you did get some interior shots.
I'm looking at it for the first time. This does look like an iPad Pro.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's perfect.
Apply some filters on it. We need a
zoom and enhance feature.
Yeah,
but
auto AI. Make it 8K.
So this is from the passenger side. I'm gonna try to go look at the steering wheel. Honestly, I think the steering wheel is gonna be the final. I think that's the final one. Even my wife was like, "Is that like? Do you think that's gonna be the final? Do you think that's gonna be the final wheel, a steering wheel?" And I do. And her thing was like, "Well, what about the top when making circles?" And it's like, "Well, realistically, for me at least, even when I'm turning, like using it on the side and my hands on this thing." I'm moving it that way, and if we're gonna have full self-driving, I think it's gonna kind of do it itself anyway. But I
think the steering wheel's gonna stick. I don't know how I feel about there being no rear view mirrors. I feel like that could change.
No rear view mirrors. No changes to the steering wheel. I love that steering wheel. I
Legally,
will find a third party and put that steering wheel back on if they change it. Like
I don't think they'll change the steering wheel, but I mean legally, they have to still deliver it with side view mirrors. That law hasn't changed yet.
And I also have a sledgehammer.
No, less.
So
you got 18 months now before it's considered late.
It has the same track ball thing as the Model 3. I see it.
Good. Right. The little scrolling things.
Yeah.
What about the seatbelts? Did you get a good look at the interior part? Sandy Monroe was talking about how the seatbelts in the Cybertruck didn't look like they had adjustable part. Like you can go up and down in some cars. You can make the seatbelt a little bit higher, and I actually do use that feature quite a bit. And I'm hoping that the Cybertruck's going to be bigger. Exactly. Like small cars, if they don't adjust it, like the strap like goes over my shoulder and then down.
I don't think the production model or the prototype model has it, but I'll be honest with you, even looking at it now, I'm having a really hard time seeing seatbelts and stuff like that. So I think the prototype model doesn't have it. I think it will have it maybe. I don't see why they wouldn't put it in there.
Probably see the Jay Leno video. You'd probably.
There's a lot more clarity in that one, 100%. Yeah.
I think they nailed the roof on the Cybertruck.
Huh?
It's like the windshield of the X with the roof of the Y.
Yes.
That's what the Cybertruck looks
Yes.
like. So
it's the perfect combo.
They put the center beam in the exact right place so that the front seat gets a great view and the back seat gets a great view. So I think they nailed that aspect of it. But I really, truly believe, especially now, Randy's kind of reconfirming my suspicion that I think the biggest deterrent will be the size. A lot of people are going to love the practicality, the range, the functionality, but it's just going to be so dang hard to park the thing wherever you go and find a garage that can hold this thing that people are going to have to buy a new house or move apartments just so that they can have this truck.
It'll be worth it, folks.
I get that. I don't think it was wrong for them to make it as large as they did. I've said this before and I'll say it a million times more. If you're willing to have the variation of 3 and Y, which are incredibly similar vehicles, but one is bigger than the other, then there has to be a Cybertruck and a smaller Cybertruck that is meant to fit more garages, more spaces, and make more sense for different countries where roads aren't that big. So to me, starting with the big F-350 class type Cybertruck is kind of like starting with the Model S. Makes sense. You go luxury. It's not luxury pricing, but it's like higher end size. They didn't start with a mid-size sedan. They started with like a luxury sedan. And that's what the Model S was. And then a few years down the road, obviously, that's when we get the 3, which honestly, every time I see a 3, I'm always kind of reminded how small it is, especially because of the size of our Sonata, which I consider a fairly small car, and then we'll park it next to a Model 3 because anytime I see a Model 3 in a parking lot, I'm like, that's where we're going. So we park right next to it, and I'm like, it's kind of little. When you park not in a bad way, but
do you wave at the Sentry camera?
Yes, every time. Every time. So when I see that, I'm like, it's not small to a detriment. Like for a lot of people, it makes just the right amount of sense. And in a lot of ways, having a smaller car is handy because it means you can park easier and fit it in more garages. It's more applicable. It makes sense. And I think that might be the biggest downside of going with that Cybertruck, especially considering how people are like, the width is a little overbearing now, or the length is a bit more than we thought, or I'm still happy to hear Elon saying they want to make a world-class, smaller version for everyone, because I'd be way more on board that if they did it. If not, I still wouldn't mind parking. Cybertruck is the type of vehicle I would not mind parking outside permanently.
Agreed.
It doesn't go inside because it's meant to be.
It's an outdoor animal. It's an outdoor pet.
Yeah. Ideally, I would love one with solar. That way it would just make sense to keep it outside because now you don't even have to plug it in. You could do a challenge with the truck of just like, I'm going to only drive it via power from the sun and nothing else. I think that would be a really cool challenge. But I wonder how the door handles will do in direct sunlight.
I wish.
Will it get really hot?
This looks like it's something that can cook.
Yeah. Makes me think.
Unless you have a function to open the car directly from the app, the door, cool the cabin down, open the door.
I don't think they will, though.
You know how the Model X, you walk up to it and it just knows, and then it does its thing?
That's the front door.
I want that on everything, but yeah, I don't think they'll put it on the Cybertruck because I think Tesla knows their biggest selling point of the Cybertruck is the price. That's the best part about all of this. I mean, no one would be defending the Cybertruck that much if it was $100,000, but the fact that it starts at 40 and 50 and 70
price and size, that if they're trying to get most of Americans behind this thing, and they're all, and we're the truck country, and everybody wants a very big truck and American made and all that pride that goes behind the history of a pickup truck like this, keeping that price like that for something that's equivalent to an F-350 is its selling factor, and I know why. I understand why they don't want to lower the size. I'm not going to hold my breath that it's going to look exactly that size. Things will change, obviously, on it. The fact that there's no mirrors is another weird one for me. Looking at it, like, this is why it doesn't feel real, because it's like, this is not the final version. I can't buy it. I don't believe it.
Do you feel like compared to other prototypes to production models, this one will be the biggest change?
Okay, so today I got the Model 3 update that lets me use my side mirrors as cameras, or the cameras for my mirrors and stuff like that. And the way I pull it up on my display and I can see it, it covers all grounds, blind spots and all. That is definitely the replacement to your side mirrors and your rear view mirror. That I could do it all on the display now.
And, I want to get there,
and I'm comfortable with it. Yeah, and I'm comfortable with it too, because it's full HD. Everything that is so cool. You put that on the truck that's so big like that. People don't really use their rear view mirror in big old trucks like that anyway. It's hard to.
No, sir.
They don't.
It's very popular to never touch that.
Yeah,
running joke for truck people. Like, oh, I looked up at the rear view mirror. Was I going to see anything?
I was trying to look at my children, But even then, part of my update has the cam inside that lets me, It's anyway. Taking away mirrors. You got a
display up there for the truck. It's fine.
Yeah. Taking away the mirrors, I don't think is the biggest cosmetic change to it. I don't know if this is going to be the biggest alteration from prototype to production, but I do feel
Model 3 was really close.
It was extremely close. Yeah, those things were those.
Yeah.
When you look at a new line of a vehicle that Tesla has put out, most of the time it was exactly the exact same.
Model Y was almost undescribably different. It looked exactly the same.
Right.
Almost.
And I even looked at the 2009 Model S, the first one they revealed on stage, and that was in the showroom because it's now part of their history for it. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this little things about it look different from the one that they ship with, like the grill in the front, that to give an illusion, because people couldn't accept, all that stuff, and we're past that at that point. And I don't see cosmetic changes changing to the Cybertruck, because it's not meant to be a cosmetic type of change. It's meant to be about utility and practicality when it comes to what is legal and you can put on the road, and what is Tesla about it in regards to what can we enhance and make better or different. And I think the only change that is necessary is shrink it just a little bit. And you can shrink it without giving up on cabin space. You can shrink it with maybe even not giving up so much on the bed. That if there's more stuff going in between the actual frame itself of the bed and the actual bed itself, and you can reduce the steel maybe that much, every little bit counts in the overall radius of the vehicle. Just bring it down just a little bit. I think that's the only thing that would change. It's the only thing that makes sense. Those tires, guys, oh my God, those tires are so thick and so huge, and they're gonna be so expensive to replace.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why I still doubt the $40,000 model. Getting that truck with those giant tires and the air suspension and all that for $40,000.
Sure.
That's such a steal in my book. I'm like, there's no way they're going to actually reach that. I mean, I'll be amazed if they do, but they're not going to be promoting it. I think it'll be a off-menu style.
It'll cost you $3,000 just to replace your tires when you're done with it.
They'll put some lawn chairs on the inside.
This one doesn't have tires.
Say again?
The $40,000 Cybertruck that's off menu, you have to provide your own tires for that one.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with any wheel.
Sure. Yeah.
You bring in your little 18-inch Aero wheels, and it's just like trying to drive with it. But yeah, I mean, do you guys think, because that's interesting you brought that up about the rear view cameras now shooting like the diagonal ways on the 3. How do you think that's going to work with the display being the rear view camera? Do you think that camera will bounce onto the 17-inch display along with the diagonal rear-facing cameras, or will the 17-inch display just turn into a split view of the rear view, the diagonal cameras, and then the display up top will be just dedicated to.
No, I think everything will be. I think
camera.
everything will be on the display, and then the secondary one up there. I think all screens will go out and then become cameras, like or monitors. And so your one right there can be used for the center one, and you'll also have it right there with the side ones on the side, the way it looks like right now in the latest update. I could see the main display being your main focal point on like, okay, that's everything right there, and you're gonna have to depend on that way more, especially since you can't go like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's all
You can't.
It's all right.
If you turn around, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think them sensors, for it being like a tip like that, being able to indicate like, oh, this is not going to clear. I think that's an important.
It's only 6 feet tall, folks. 6 foot and like 2 inches. It's not.
This thing.
It's so much shorter than me. Like I will
And
be
air
looking
suspension.
down on the Cybertruck.
Wait, it's really only 6 feet tall?
Yeah,
This thing is
it's
huge,
like-
Nick. You're wrong. No, you might be
No,
right. I don't know.
I will-
I don't
I
know
mean,
what
it
it is.
depends. It depends on what setting you have the suspension.
That
set
is
to,
true.
quite a
That
bit.
is true. 100%.
Because I'm
true.
6 feet tall.
Yeah, it's
So-
not much taller than us, Drew.
I'm sure it varies depending on what the ride height is set to. You
Okay.
could probably get it.
I look taller
Under-
next to it, but keep in mind, I'm about 3 feet, a yard, or a meter away from the Cybertruck, and that's me up against it. If I was closer, to it, I would be shorter.
Yeah.
I know. I'm commenting on your mask. You look like a bandit who's about to steal the Cybertruck.
Can you tell I'm smiling?
Yes, I can.
Some things I'd like to remind people, to our international viewers, because I remember some people saying, no, they're going to bring the same full-size Cybertruck to Europe as well. Keep in mind, in the specs section of the website, it says all configurations are U.S. specification only. Global specifications will be developed at a later date based on demand. So that's what I meant in my videos prior when I was telling people the big Cybertruck is for the U.S.
Sure.
If you're concerned about size, length, or width, what you're going to get in Europe could be something totally different, because they're going to build it at Giga Berlin. They know that the roads are different there, and then the markets are different there, and they will probably build something a lot smaller and more reasonable for other countries. And that the website confirms it.
You could see my shadow kind of up against the Cybertruck, and you can kind of see reflections, but it's not mirrored. This is what it looked like. It's not brushed, but it is definitely it's just there, and then you can kind of see a guy peeking through the window on the other side. But this is about as dark or non-reflective as it was throughout the whole car, and I'm sure it got cleaned up and polished and everything like that. But
Right.
that was the most non-reflective, and then the most reflective is the stuff that you guys have already saw. Just so I can recap on the reflectivity of it.
So I looked up a screenshot that I had taken during the presentation where Elon had all the dimensions up on stage behind him. According to this, it's 6 feet and 4 inches tall at its tallest point. And
okay.
it is
That's a little different.
79 inches, which is 8.5 feet wide. So it's
Jeez.
wide as an F-350, a little bit shorter than an F-350, and it's 231 inches long, which is 19.25 feet. So 19 feet 4 inches long.
Man, I envy you, Randy. I'd love to see this.
So
thing
I'm
for-
still going to be
I'm
looking
excited
down on
for
this
the
truck,
day.
though. This is, like, it's too
Well,
small
you look
for
down
me.
on most things.
I want it
Nick.
bigger.
Snooty Nick and Sweeney.
Give me
I look down
Cybertruck
at
Pro. Give me Cybertruck Pro Max XDR Plus.
Yeah.
You could buy 2 of them and weld them together.
Big brain.
With the way it's designed, it should be relatively stackable. You'll be able to
That
flip
is
one
true.
over
That
and
is true.
put it on the top. But yeah, I can't wait to see one in person. I'm really
me
pumped.
too.
How did you feel about the door handles? Did you get any new info about those by seeing it in person, or did they seem pretty inconspicuous, hidden, and
Model S. It's
it?
not they.
I still think they're going to be changed to somehow simpler handles. On a $40,000 car. They're not getting Model S retractable handles.
Why?
Yeah, I think that'll stay.
No, I don't think so.
The money. Remember, the savings is coming from actually the assembly itself and actual
the exoskeleton.
The exoskeleton. That's where you're saving your money. I could see them putting. It's not intense tech to have it do that, to open it up. If anything, Model X stores, I can see that being more, like it's touch sensitive and then it opens like that. I can see it doing that. But being for Model S and it just kind of jets out, you're not going to make it or break the bank on having a manual grab and it opens or it auto does it. It's
seeing how Sandy Monroe measures efficiencies in pennies, and he's like, "Oh, this foam is 5 cents cheaper than this foam."
Well, I'm Randy Vasquez, and I'm telling you that it's not. And I saw it in person, and I'm telling you it's not.
That is true. You have one up on Sandy.
Yeah, my prediction.
I'm Randy, not Sandy.
Yeah,
Sandy, Randy, same thing.
I'm before S, so I'm more important.
My prediction is Tesla sees the tremendous demand here, and they are taking note of that. They're taking note of how incredibly viral this has gone, and they realize they've struck gold, and they're going to make the production model as close as they can to the prototype, and they're not going to try to fundamentally change too much of the look because they know they got such positive response. They were like, okay, let's try to deliver exactly that as much as possible. And sure, I still admit, yes, there will be probably some design changes, but I think fundamentally the iconic drawing of it and the way it looks will all still be there.
Sure.
Tiny things here and there might.
Those
change,
guys know what they're doing. They're smart with their strategic marketing.
They're 8 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. It's just
Elon is big brain.
This is for people like sort of like me who were kind of on the fence, or people who are just genuinely curious. This is for everybody. It was a moment being at that museum. It's a moment for everybody, skeptics, fanatics, and people on the fence, all alike, where they can just stop and look like, okay, no more marketing, no more digital renders, no more presentation keynotes or Jay Leno video. Let me just see this thing, and you can actually see it. And they had no obligation to do that as a prototype. You don't need to do that.
No. They didn't have to do that at all.
They did that willingly, and it helped me find some closure and peace of mind with overall assessment, and me really thinking like, I'm a short guy. I wish this was just a little bit smaller. That's my only thing. I don't like big iPhones. I don't like big vehicles. It just doesn't work for me. But
they'll have the suspension lowered all the way.
No way, absolutely not, because it looks like it could just drive over boulders and not take anything.
I bet even on the lower suspension, you wouldn't scrape on any roadway.
Oh no!
Those tires are huge. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
No, you'd be fine on, as long as you're not off-roading. You'll be fine on the lowest suspension setting.
I low-key kind of want to take it out to the desert and off-road for a little bit, though.
That would be fun.
With the ATV. Why not?
That'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
when
that.
I pick my Cybertruck up in my yacht, I'll make sure to get the ATV too.
Yeah. When I fly in to pick up my truck on my spaceship, I'm landing on my private starship.
Honestly, I think the Cybertruck, it should also, if not just the Roadster, it should be launched into space.
I will bet $5 to both you and both of you and whoever's on the. I was going to say Randy and then Drew, but then I was like mixing it up. And anyway.
Did he forget our names?
No. I was trying to refer to you as plural, but individually at the same time. Anyway, both you. See, I'm doing it again. To both you, I'm talking to Randy and then Drew, but at the same time.
What's the bet?
That Elon will send up the Cybertruck into space on one of the first Starship launches.
That would be appropriate.
Orbital,
this one.
Not suborbital. Yeah.
The prototype.
The one.
Not the prototype
saw.
one. A Cybertruck.
Yes.
A Cybertruck.
No, the prototype. The one I touched. The one I touched. Yeah. I only want so many people to have touched it, and then I want it to be sent up. I'm a part of it. My DNA's on it if they haven't wiped it off yet.
I would imagine it would go to Mars. Very similar to...
It belongs on Mars more than it belongs on Earth.
They'll stuff a parachute in the bin.
Yes.
And it'll
Unfortunately,
just land
parachutes
there.
don't work well on Mars, so I'll have to think of something else. But
That's how they got the rovers there. But
yeah, but that's not really how they got it there, because there's there's only 1% of the atmosphere on Mars as there is.
Why are you talking like that?
But they've used them.
Smart. This is my smart voice. I'm using my smart
They've
voice
done it
right now.
It's been done.
It has been done, but it is not as simple as you think. The show parachutes are very complicated beings.
Something
I thought
Jedi.
Space travel was really simple.
Space travel is actually the simplest thing that we have. More difficult than that is brain science, which is exactly what Elon's doing with Neuralink. So,
easiest things on the planet. Rocket science and brain science.
Rocket science isn't on the planet.
If a businessman can do it, I can do it too.
If Elon could do it, can't be that hard, right?
It can't be that hard.
That hard.
Yeah.
Last call, Randy. You still think it's going to be late 2022?
I do.
Okay.
I was just talking to my wife about that. We were talking about in regards to. Now, I will say openly, just on the record, disclosure here, that I hope it's late, just so we can save up more money and try either put as much down or pay it off completely.
As a friend, I want that too.
Yes.
As a friend, I want it to be late too. But as an EV creator, I want it to come out tomorrow.
As an EV enthusiast, as a Tesla enthusiast, I still
shareholder
and as a owner of Tesla, I think it's still going to be late in both scenarios. In my private life and professional life, I think it's not going to meet its deadline. And I don't think rightfully so. I don't want them to rush it. I don't want those imperfections to be on the production model.
Yeah.
That's very fair. I think that it's going to be on time, if not a little bit early. Seeing how Tesla got the Model Y's act together, I'm still not sure about Gigafactory, Austin, or any of the stuff around there.
They just had a public town meeting talking about Tesla bringing a factory there with They've basically already started the process.
It hasn't been built yet, and so I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be on time, but I guarantee you that Tesla's been like, remember how much excitement we have on the Model Y? We had on the Model Y? Lackluster. Not really. But we still got that out in under a year. Barely.
But most of the parts were Model 3
broke
parts.
The internet. Cybertruck and Baby Yoda will go down as 2019's the final good year that we had. The two capstones of humanity, Cybertruck and Baby Yoda. Tesla needs to get the Cybertruck out ASAP. And I believe
it's in their best interest to, because it's
money waiting to be made.
It's basically like, okay, let's assume half the reservations don't go through. That's
even 90% of them.
Might be much, in my opinion.
Okay.
Let's just say 50.
Sure.
That means still over 300,000 people willing to drop $50,000 on average. I'd say that's the average price, but $50,000 to $55,000 average on this truck. You have that much money sitting out in the public, and the only thing preventing you from acquiring that revenue is putting up a factory.
So announcing the Tailosive Cybertruck. It is exactly the same size as Randy wants, and it's coming tomorrow. Give us all your money.
Thank God. But the whole design, I agree, like Model Y came out fast because it had so many design similarities with the 3, but the whole reason the Cybertruck looks the way it does is because it's simple to manufacture. Mm-hmm. And I think because there's no paint shop, because there's no stamping press, and because they're able to simplify the entire assembly process, that's why you should expect an accelerated production timeline compared to previous Teslas, because there's so much less to do. And I think that will require a much smaller factory footprint to actually get the cars out running. So that's why I won't say early, but I will say the first deliveries will be end of next year.
If they don't,
there may not be a lot, but I'm still betting end of next year.
If they don't fix their quality control issue, it's going to be a mess.
They've stated. They've already showcased. It may be a mess. I don't disagree there, but they've proven with the Model Y they don't care if they deliver things early and messy. Not saying that's a good thing. We're just talking predictions here. But sure, I would say believable that Tesla would get things out end of 2021. Messy, maybe body panel gaps and that kind of thing, but they'll still do it so that they can say they did it and start acquiring that revenue they have.
But the end of 2021 and beginning of 2022, all that does not affect their earnings call, their quarterly earnings call. That doesn't affect the business side of things. That doesn't affect anything except
Well, they get to
PR.
acquire stuff, revenue. They get to get it. They get more money, so that impacts.
But the people who are
revenue.
canceling the reservations or paying for it, they've made up that mind a long time ago. That whether it comes out end of 2021 or 2022 is not the deciding factor. They've already made up that mind.
Which is why they don't get to recognize that revenue until they deliver.
If they are that focused on that vision of putting out something like that, and we are to believe the marketing of it, then they don't care that much about the revenue portion of it. They care about getting you something that's revolutionary and all these other, adjectives that parallel with Apple in the sense that we care about having the next big thing for you guys done right. And as a shareholder, as a customer, and as a fanatic, don't screw up my Cybertruck. You know what I mean? Like, looking at what I saw yesterday, I'm in love, but I'm also a cynic in the sense that this needs to be fixed. This looks incomplete. This feels incomplete. This is a prototype. Awesome, guys. I know there are people way smarter than most people anywhere else who are working on these problems. And if you can meet my deadline of 2021 and 2021, and it's everything and then some, and we've added a few extra things. I'm all for it. But I'm healthily being skeptical because of their track record and and COVID and the fact that it's like, as we've talked before, this is their last new line to something that's been introduced, and I don't think you want to screw up the release of that any more than they
to screw it up. I'm just saying they've proven they've been willing to screw things up.
That was unintentional.
Hey, we delivered early,
but that was
no one screws up on purpose. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Tesla, if the quality control is not up to par, they won't care as long as they get to meet their deadline or exceed their deadline.
I would believe you if they were putting out the $40,000 first one, but if they're coming out with the high end $70,000 one, you're not going to screw that up.
For all their cars.
But the thing is, like,
they will. I think they have. They're delivering the long range and performance Model Ys now.
But you also said that the whole point of this is that it's keeping it it's supposed to reduce stressors on the production line of doing stuff like that.
It does reduce, but that doesn't guarantee no quality control issues.
I'm sure. I'm not talking about nitpicky stuff. I'm talking about. So you mentioned welding or quarter panels and stuff like that. I'm talking about even. I'm not so much worried anymore about the technical side. I think they're pretty much locking that down as time moves on because it's all the same software, it's all the same computer stuff. So I'm happy about that. At one point, I had an issue about the tech. The tech is getting up there. I'm more concerned about if you go too simplistic, and I'm saying this in a very broad term, you could break something. Something can go wrong with it, and maybe we need a little bit more intricacies underneath the exoskeleton, so to say. And that's where my focus as a consumer, a customer, like, I want to make sure, don't mess this up. You know what I mean? Like, the outside can look like the outside, and maybe the prototype was, as my wife put it, like, oh, it just looks like cardboard's kind of covering up. And maybe that's the case. What happens underneath is the stuff that I'm more wary about, because what if, let's entertain, I think it was Nick, like what if the door handles don't open up the way they should, and all we have is the Model S style, and there's no fail safe to it. The mirrors and the cameras and stuff like that. There's certain risks that we all kind of take when you get a new line like this, because it's all early adopter. We're still in that phase. And I'm always heightened and sensitive about that stuff, and even more so because that's a lot of tech. That's a big vehicle. I'm not so worried about the Model 3 because it's so tiny. I was never really worried about it. I would have been worried about the Model X. I'm worried about the Cybertruck, but that's just because that's a whole lot of products up front. Yeah. And I want to make sure. All I'm asking is that if it's going to push it out a couple months to half a year, but you know that this is actually going to fundamentally change or improve and keep things more consistent, I'm okay with waiting. And if you don't need that, let's take it, like let's get it out and let's see what it is. But the early adopters who are buying the truck right now shouldn't have to suffer because of trying to meet a certain deadline. That's just fundamental. That was some random number. Oh, end of 2021. You could have said anything, They could have said end of 2020, right? You're throwing out some number, and if they have to suffer because we just put some arbitrary number out there, I don't think it's fair for the first pickup people who are getting it. We looked at our reservation.
No argument there.
Yeah.
No one's arguing it's unfair or
Ryan.
it's fair that the prototype. Yeah, Ryan's a classic example. Someone who ordered the Model Y and got a crappy version of it. I agree with you, Randy. I agree with that. That's what they should do. That they should iron things out. I'm just not counting on them being the company to do that, given their previous track record. I agree. Yes, they should wait. Yes, they should iron things out. No, the first pre-orders should not be punished with the quality control issues. But knowing how Tesla likes to exceed or reach deadlines, or how they like to get stuff out so that they can acquire revenue, I feel like with that track record, they would be the company to make that mistake. Not that it's a good thing, but that's why I still say end of 2021.
We looked at the reservation of our placement, and we're slotted to be over 7 months out from when they start production of the tri-motor. 7.49.
Well, it depends more on where you are. They don't really do
true.
it based on who ordered first. It's more about where you're located.
I actually found this really cool guide, and I'll see if I can link it below. But it's this fan-made like spreadsheet that you can enter in your reservation number. And
yeah, I've seen that.
Compare it with... Anyway, I just found it the other day, and I shared it with Randy's wife, and we were geeking out about it.
Yeah.
But my tri-motor reservation is it's the 4,975th Cybertruck reservation.
Oh, geez.
So my estimated ship date is 3.14 months from the start of production. So that puts me at the very beginning of January or February of 2022 as like the potential, okay, am I ready to spend $80,000 on a vehicle? Probably not. Let's hope so, though. Subscribe to this podcast. No. The second reservation that I have is the dual motor, and that one is estimated to be delivered 4.51 months from the start of production, just on when I got the reservation.
You're going to be a busy boy.
I know. And so that's either May or June of 2022. And I'm thinking that's probably going to be one of the better slots because it's going to be a dual motor, but they'll have had like 6 months or so to kind of work out these, panel gap issues and all these little things that are come up on
early
day one.
Kinks.
Exactly. But my safety here is the single motor, which isn't going to start production until late 2022. But since I waited until like a couple weeks ago to do my reservation for the single motor, it's at 22 months after production starts for the single motor. So that puts me out into like November or December of 2023. So like,
okay.
At the very minimum, I will be getting the single motor Cybertruck at the end of December, November 2023. Like that's almost 2024. Like that's 4 years away. So,
all right.
Anyway, I'm
cool.
Sorry. Did I talk?
Sounds good.
I talked.
No, you're good. You're good.
No one likes to hear my voice.
I love hearing your voice, Nick.
Same.
It's very soothing.
I'm ready for bed.
Closing thoughts? I know, I'm ready.
The Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is everything and then some in person. And if anybody is in the LA area or close to, if you're in Southern California and you can afford the trip,
Act fast.
Yes, you have until Friday. Actually,
you have until Friday.
Already sold out. Huh.
Maybe.
All right,
guys.
Thanks for listening / watching, everyone. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Wait. Ba-ba.